Zach and Melanie of TSA, the Stinking Atheist, have been in a dialogue/debate with Noel Plum 99 on YouTube about whether omniscience in and of itself is impossible due to the problematizing of knowledge of a category called unknown unknowns, or more recently, an unknowable known unknown. And so I'm in their most recent, TSA's most recent video response. Zach and Melanie talk about how some beliefs, or even one particular belief, if it were to be logically impossible to decipher or to have correct knowledge about this belief or proposition, that fact alone would not rule out omniscience in their view. In Zach's words, quote, "There is one last point that I should make, and that is, even if Noel Plum is right, and there is one thing that is logically impossible for any being to know, omniscience is still omniscience is still possible." Now, I would like to elaborate a little bit on this assertion or argument by Zach of TSA. By way of offering a few illustrations, there are certainly statements or propositions in the English language, and presumably in all language in some form or another, that would be logically impossible or indecipherable, undecipherable, inscrutable. Some of these, Noel Plum brings up the idea of a set of things that would be in an unknown category, or in an unknowable known unknowns. So whether or not the set, knowledge of the set being empty or full, would itself be indecipherable, unknowable itself. So that would be sort of logically impossible to have knowledge about that, whether the set of things that are unknown unknowns are full or empty. But there are other illustrations. There are other examples that could be used that certainly wouldn't have really any bearing on whether a being could have the property of omniscience. Another one would be the true knowledge or justified true belief about the question, certain questions like, what is the sound of one hand clapping? What sort of sense can one make to an answer of that particular question? The fact that a divine being who would be omniscient, as well as a human being with limited cognition or intelligence or knowledge, would both have difficulty answering that in a satisfactory manner, in a way that would be rationally satisfying or agreeable to many parties who use reason. Another example that has been bandied about for many years is the loaded question, have you stopped beating your wife yet? If one answers no to that question, obviously it implies guilt for not only beatings in the past, but future beatings that one might continue. And if one answers yes, that one has stopped beating one's wife, then that implies that one had been beating one's wife in the past, and that one has recognized it's wrong and will stop doing so in the future, the present and future. So the question itself is so loaded that it implies guilt whether one answers no or yes. The only rationally satisfying answer to this would be to question the assumptions behind the question itself. So just the question thrown out there, it wouldn't matter whether a being had omniscience or not. There wouldn't be a great direct answer to that question. So I just wanted to illustrate a little bit some of the problems of trying to create a scenario where omniscience would be impossible, given unsatisfactory answers to logical conundrums or logical paradoxes. That in and of itself, that doesn't rule out omniscience. It just means that no matter what, such as the squared circle, there's no way that's very that would be agreeable or satisfying to create a square circle for anybody, for any kind of a being, whether they would be omniscient or not. So I hope that clarifies a little bit, and I look forward to comments, further questions on this topic. I realize I'm sort of butting in. I also do want to apologize for the clip art. I'm using public domain images, but they are very churchy. They're ecclesiastical images or images, public domain illustrations from an old book, which I will cite the source, but it is in the public domain, and many of these are considered congregational divines, like Cotton Mather, Increase Mather. So I hope that's not too intimidating for our friend Noel Plum. And thank you for tuning in. Bye-bye.